Welcome to the video. We're going to take a look at Rapid Composer and how the user interface works and how you can navigate freely, quickly, and effectively without frustration once you understand certain things and set up your default layout to be set up for speed and to be effective. So I've got a jazz trio, which is a UJAM upright bass, the mellow. I've got a Superior drum jazz kit and a VSL Fizoli piano in a kind of a jazz trio, which will demonstrate this. So let's listen to it, then I'll break down track by track how to navigate quickly, how to make an edit, zoom in, out, move, edit, zoom in, out, and really work quickly. Then I will erase everything and start from the default Rapid Composer and hopefully show you how to set it up in a similar way if you choose to. Let's listen to the demo. Okay, so what we have here is a chords track, which is set up to be the piano, a light chordal rhythm, meaning that you just have a slight rhythm every couple beats just to give a background to, and we can listen to this and then we'll go to the melody that's played on the piano. So we'll solo this, we'll go to the beginning. I'll turn it up a bit. And by itself is nothing great, it's just a very slow rhythmic chordal backing. And then if I was to zoom out and then zoom into the melody, and the interface is so nice to use that way, and we can solo the two together, and that gives a nice rhythm to this melody, which is another piano, same piano, different track, on top of that chordal rhythm. Okay, so this video isn't so much about the music, it's about the interface and navigating quickly, effectively. But in case you're interested, this was simply set up so that I could drag in any idea from Easy Keys, and I found something at a tempo of 86 and a key of B flat major. And so I just, because this is all set up beforehand with all the tracks and everything, I simply just had to drag in musical ideas in the bass, for the chords, for the percussion. And the percussion is something I don't think I've showed before on the channel. But if I zoom into the percussion, you have a choice. You can go normal type or you can go percussion. And if you choose percussion, then it sets up so you can see all the different instruments and what note they're on, similar to a drum mapping editor. Nothing new there, but what I chose to do was have its input sent to the Superior drummer, chose some basic jazz, tested it a little bit, right tempo, dragged it in, boom, bam, done. Really quick to work this way. The UJam bass was similar. I went to the bass track channel, open it up, and in this case I used one of the bass presets, dragged it in. I could have used a generator or could have used something from maybe Easy Bass, but because the master track's all set up, it's just easy to use. And I've made videos of this in the past, but this is about editing and moving and navigating. So one thing you can do is use this and click that off to give you more room. I'm going to move easy keys out of the way. Now let's get back to how you navigate a song, how you create this system. And so if I move out, so I'm just basically double clicking on these different color coded, and of course you can name and color code everything. And it's just, you can do everything from one interface, either zoomed in or zoomed right out and have an overview. And so you can move the cursor if you click anywhere where this little tape is here, these little measure points here. So I move the cursor that way. And maybe the best part about this is you're working on a song, you're listening to it, and you say, oh, that bass in the ending, there's a couple notes I want to fix. How do you do that really quick? You simply go to the arranger, hit the ending tab. You'll zoom in just to the ending. It will automatically set up a loop for it. And then you know that it's a bass, and you double click on the bass track, and you're automatically looping and listening and editing. And you can control where the cursor is just by clicking. Like say you want to test this note. You're going to edit this note. So you can go into edit mode. And you can say you hover it over and you hold down Alt and you click and you split that note. And say you're moving it up because you're editing. But you want to hear it as you're going. So I use my cursor up here. I left click while it's playing. Decide if I like it or not, and I may want to move it down. Whatever the case, you do your editing, but you're able to hear it repeatedly. Then I double click and I'm back out to the overview and say now I want to do something with the piano. I double click over here, and because we're in edit mode, or I should say note editing mode, you see all the velocities are there for you to edit also. If I go back to phrase edit mode up here, they will disappear and it all folds up again. It's really a really quick, amazing way to work. It's so effective. So I can go back here and I can say, well, let's turn off all the solos. And I want to just hear the bass. Solo the bass, double click, go to the bass, go to the chorus, and start messing around with the bass notes here. And then zoom back out if you want to see all the tracks, turn off solo. So really you can go anywhere, zoom right in, edit, zoom out, go to another track. Really useful. So how do you set up something like this? Well, let's do it. Let's go here and we right click, new composition. It's all going to go away. Before I do that, I should mention though that I do set up every one of these tracks, and if I right click, you can see that it's set up as plugin host. The first one I set up to be really this version of Rapid Composer. Maybe it's better now, but it gives you 8 different tracks. So if I go to the chord track, and if I go to my piano, let's say the VSL 1, you can see that it's set up to be the first Rapid Composer input. So you have 8 that you can use without any interference. And inside of the Rapid Composer, for me, that's plenty. So I do the chords and the first available one, the bass and the second available output, and the melody, and on. So that when I do want to drag in, you know, melodies, chords, bass, whatever, it's all set up to the instruments that then I can pick any instrument. So I could go to, let's say, I could have a brass instrument. If I zoom out here, go to brass. Say I wanted, instead of a piano lead, I could just go to a horn, a French horn. I could turn it on. It loads up. And as soon as it loads in, then you can just set it to one of those inputs that are already set up inside of Rapid Composer. Really fast way to work, beautiful way to work, and now we're going to start from scratch and show you how I did it. And it's really nothing that new, it's just having learned what's there available. So let's go, new composition. Don't want to save that, I've already got it saved as my default layout. But this is what we start with, and as seen in other videos. And the first thing I do is I change this, and as I learn more about music, you may want to just keep the degrees on instead of having note names, but I still like to have the note names. And then I will hover my cursor on the arranger bar. I'll hold down Control and I'll zoom it way in, and then I'll drag out as long as I want the song to be. So the song idea, by default, I want to give myself maybe at least 20 measures. And at this point, you could just have your interface set up to bars, so it's very easy to move in precise measurements without getting 1/16 off. And so that's a good starting point. Now I want to set up my song, all the arranger tracks named and color-coded. How would you do that? Well, first thing we could do though before that is, before I forget, you see where the cursor is here? If I click here, that's where the playhead goes. If I click up here, just above it in this range up here, still in the dark gray, it will expand right out to how big I have my, see that? So you're getting all your resolution there of your interface, which is really great. But we want to divide this up and have all our different song components. And I found a better way to do it is to click this icon up here, which lets you set it up from one convenient place. Click on it, double click the name, and now I can say I want it to be, and my double click is really fast on this mouse, so I gotta be careful there. And I call it My Song. Now we have a title, and you can decide, you know, what your how you're going to set up as far as C major or minors and the tempo. But that's something you can do later as you decide. But for default, this is what I like to set up. So then we have parts and lines. So I want to have a intro, verse, bridge, chorus, and then an ending, something like that. So I'm thinking 5 to 6 parts. So let's click on this plus sign, and it will add parts automatically. So click on 2 more, and it gives each one a color, which is great. But you can edit that color. So if you don't like green, you can change the hue and the colors to whatever you want. But it does a nice job automatically. So now we've got all these parts, and if I zoom out, you'll say, where are they? And then if you zoom out further, or zoom in, and then zoom out, you can see that they're up here, because our first part is way too big. So we go up here, and you see that it's 76. You can just hover on this number and say, no, I just want my intro of, I want it to be 2 bars, right? So you just set it there. And your bars and your grid is set up just to be bars, so it's very simple. And now I can go up here, double click to the part, and I say intro. All right, and you can do that for all the different parts. So the second part, I'll call it, my mouse is a really touchy mouse, but call it verse. And then the second or the third one, you can go bridge. And so on and so forth. So let's do the next one, which should be chorus, and then ending. All right, so we got the colors and the names to whatever we want. And we can, of course, now say I want the verse, because this number changes the size of these bars. So I don't want it to be that long, so we drag it in, and we can say we want it to be 4 bars long. And let's just do that again. Or beats, I mean. So actually we want it to be maybe 12 beats. And if I zoom out, now we see it's 3 bars or 12 beats or quarter notes. And then if you don't like it, you can literally just do it by hand also here. But it's nice to do it all in one interface so you're not scrolling and moving. Because while you're doing this, you would have to then, if you want to do it the traditional way, I would hold down Control while on the bar and then move it in, and you can see all our pieces. But instead of having to do that, you can just have it zoomed out all the way, go in here, and so our verse is going to be 4 bars, which is 16 beats. The bridge is going to be way less, so we zoom that down, drag it, and zoom it down to, say, 8. And then the chorus can be 16. And you can see how fast you can move once you understand. And the ending can be just 8 beats worth. All right, now we have all our different components. Now, let's say we want 2 choruses though. So we can go back there and say, well, you see all of these have a line and they have a subfolder. So on my chorus, I could say, no, I want to add, I could either add another chorus here, but it's a different color. You could change that color. You see, it added a part and it's not the chorus. I want a chorus that has the same, it's under the heading of chorus, the same color. I created another part. That's not what I want. That's why you use the line here. So let's delete this, which you can do by just hitting the X. Now let's do it the right way. We go to the line and we say, yeah, you want to add another. Now we get a different shade of purple, and it has still the heading of chorus, but line 2, which you can then subname these. So you could say pre-chorus, and then the other one just chorus. So you have total control of how you set this up. Really, it is a nice system. And then we could say, well, let's use the entire interface space here. We're going to drag it out. And remember, I can hover my cursor right above anywhere on this strip and double click, and it will expand it out. Now here comes one of the great parts of this. As I showed before, you can just double click now. It's zoomed in with the loop. You turn on the loop tool. Looper's already engaged, if you notice here, and you can just click on it and move it, but it's already there for you to use. And then when you click out, you can get back to where you were. So now it works for every different section, right into the intro, and you can have these, of course, expanded like I've shown before and color coded. We'll do that next. So let's zoom out. We've got our interface here with our song parts named and colored. Let's go and add some more channels of tracks here. Say we want 4 or 5, and let's say we want to see them all in track view. Go up here, this button, minimize all tracks. Now they're minimized. You can change the colors now and you can rename them. So double click and we'll go chords. Then I'll go maybe bass and double click maybe melody and maybe percussion, whatever you need. And of course, if you double click on the color bar, as I showed before, you're ready to have. Now, if I turn on this icon here, we can quickly just drag in, and we're in chords, I can drag in a chord generator, let go, and we're ready to go. And we could say we want it just, maybe the rhythm of that to be, again, just way less rhythm, more full chords. Now, you'll notice that they change with every chord change up here. So your chord master track now, and we can get out of there. Now this comes into play. You can cut these by hovering over, hold down your Alt key, and that will give you a new cut there. And you can also cut your big phrase, select it, and hover where you want your cut and hit the Alt key, hold it down, then left click, and now it becomes 2 separate entities there. So very easy to cut, move, paste, and edit, and colorize and name. So now we want to go back out, and that's basically how you set this up. Now say you select a arranged part, and if you want it to loop there, and looper is on, you hold down your cursor, and not sure what's up with if that's a bug or not, but if you double click in, you can see it's set up to be a looper. And I just got to hold down there. Normally this looper will move, so I'm going to say that's a bug for right now, but for whatever reason that's doing that. But generally the looper works good, and if you hold down the T key, you can have it loop just what section you hold down here. So unfortunately it seems to have glitched out for some reason, but really it's a great way to work. And the looper is coming on by default there. Maybe if I turn it off and zoom back out, and then there. For whatever reason, it just kind of glitched there. Maybe it's because I have it set to bars. If I go to the grid and the snap to like 16th now, and then if I go to bridge, and I double click, that looper moved automatically to just play the bridge here. And if I go out, you can again set your looper to where you need it. So not only does it zoom into whatever part of your song instantly, it sets up that looper as I already explained. So now we have, our tracks, and you can say, well, if I double click on chords, I can have it set up. And I wouldn't want to have anything in this as default, so I would Control X once you select it. But you can right click and you can set this up to be on channel 1, plug-in host, zoom out, so that's good by default. If I go here to the bass, I would set it up and right click and set this to be, in this case, channel 17. And then I would zoom out and then zoom into the melody and I would set that up to be the third, and so on. So the third set would be, of 16 would be 33, and so on. So it's all set up. And then I would go up here, save composition as, or save as, save composition as your default. And if you do that, then if you save your, I know Cubase does this, I don't know about Studio One or others, I assume maybe they do also. But because I saved this setup as my default, when I open up Cubase next time, I simply go to Rapid Composer, I turn it on, I have a similar interface that's all set up, ready to go, and I know how to navigate. So I hope this video encourages people to continue to push forward with Rapid Composer. I'm so glad I did, because right now I'm having tons of fun working super fast and getting exactly what I want as a songwriting hub. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, and we'll see you on that next video.